Hey there, Mike Robbins here, coming to you live on Thursday, the 28th of July, a little before 3 p.m. Pacific time. I haven't been live here on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube in quite a while. I just looked back, I think it was early May. So what's that, May, June, July, going on almost 3 months. So I haven't been hiding out. I haven't been not wanting to connect with you. I've just been going through a lot personally, professionally, been super busy, the end of school with our girls and all of that. And just lots of traveling and speaking and virtual events. And so mostly for good reason, although I want to talk today a bit about hanging in there because I don't know about you, but it's been a pretty stressful, anxiety producing, challenging stretch for me. And look, I know we've all been through a lot over the last couple years with COVID, with so many other things, but I don't know. I mean, look, in a lot of ways, things are better, right? We're out in the world more. We're kind of moving around and traveling and doing things. We're not all locked inside like we were 2 summers ago. But I think there's just something about I don't know. I was at a meeting this morning for a team that I'm doing some work with, and they had an first offsite in a while. And they were looking forward to it. And 3 of the 10 people on the team couldn't make it because they had COVID. So there were 3 people up on the screen. So that was a bummer. But just as we were having the conversation this morning, and I just got done with a virtual event for another client of ours, it's been kind of a busy day. Um, I'm just really struck these days as I listen to people talk and when people share, when they lower the water line on the iceberg, it's just like we're carrying a lot. All of us seem to be. Now, again, I don't know exactly what's going on in your life, but I just know I feel like I'm carrying a lot personally, professionally, both, my own personal stuff going on with our family, stuff going on with my team and with work, and then just stuff going on with people I know and people I love and the world around us. I mean, it's just so much stuff socially, emotionally, politically, on every level. So I want to just offer a little bit of empathy and compassion. Like, I hear you. Um, I'm with you. I know, like, it hasn't been easy. It continues to not be that easy for most of us. I mean, if things are going great for you, fantastic. Bravo, congrats, enjoy it, be super grateful. If things are really, really, really hard right now for you, you're not alone. And most of us, like most of the time in life, it's somewhere in between, but it just seems like there's kind of an accumulation of stress and anxiety and challenge. Right? Hey, Chris, nice to see you on LinkedIn. If you're joining live right now, feel free to just chime in with thoughts, questions, insights, anything you want to share. But yeah, definitely no shortage of stuff, right, Chris? And again, it's not like there hasn't been challenging times in any of our lives prior to this or this last few years. It hasn't like there's never been, collective challenge or stress. Or I think of times like just in my own life, after 9/11, or, as we went to war in Iraq, or, the recession in '08 that went on in '09 and 2010. I mean, there's definitely been times where collectively, the dot-com bubble burst. I lost my job in 2000, and so many of us. Oh, hey, Linda, nice to see you on Facebook. Well, yes, we're all in this together, Linda. We are. And, I talk about that a lot, not just because it's the title of one of my books, and the name of my podcast, but there is that phenomenon that I talk a lot about. It's like, well, we're all in the same storm and we're in different boats. But it does feel like, Linda, to me, again, not to minimize it or to sugarcoat some of the differences that we have as human beings, but I do feel a certain solidarity with my fellow humans, all of you, everyone watching this live or the video afterwards, but also just people on the planet, whether I know you or not, that, we're collectively continuing to go through a very strange time to be human. And look, I was reading with Samantha, our 16-year-old who's going into 11th grade. She had some homework for her AP biology class that starts in a few weeks, and she asked if I would read a couple chapters of this textbook that she had to summarize to her, and it was nice. It was sweet. It was like back when I was reading Harry Potter books to her when she was younger. But we're reading about fossils, and the it was interesting. It was talking about the sort of point in time when fish started to evolve and had to amphibians, and it was about 375 million years ago. Now I am not um, very well versed in science, specifically biology or paleontology, I think, as it is. But it was just, as I was reading this account of the scientists and what they found, it was just, I don't know, it was putting some things in perspective, in the sense of like thinking about like 375 million years ago. Like that concept even just sort of blew my mind. And it's like, I think about the last 2.5 years, which has been a pretty long stretch of time for things to be as challenging and bizarre as they've been. And it's not like things weren't intense or challenging or a bit bizarre even prior to COVID. But and Linda, to your point, can we have a bit of grace for ourselves and for each other? Life has changed so much, and it continues to change and continues to be uncertain. So what are some things we can do, like to deal with some of the stress, some of the challenge, some of the anxiety, the pain, the difficulty, the uncertainty? I think the first thing we need to do, or could do, is just tell the truth. I just always find truth telling to be so liberating. I was sitting with that team this morning, and we did the exercise I often do with teams. If you really knew me, you'd know this about me. And people are lower in the waterline on the iceberg and just sharing the real stuff that's going on in their lives. And there's something about that exercise. It's so simple, but it's profound. And when I sit in a room of people and hear people share their truth about what's really going on with them, and sometimes it's some pretty intense stuff, but it just makes me feel more connected to them, but also connected to myself and to humanity. Like, gosh, we're all carrying a lot. But if we can tell the truth about our real experience, and not to everyone about everything, we want to do it in a way that's safe and sacred and honoring of who we are. But that to me is always the first step of any process by which we want to make some changes or some shifts or transformation, is to tell the truth. The second thing I think we can do is really allow ourselves to not only tell the truth, but feel the truth, like feel our feelings. Our feelings are meant to be felt, all of them, not just the ones we like. And if we allow ourselves to feel the joy, the sadness, the gratitude, the anger, the happiness, the shame, the whatever it is, all of it. I mean, some emotions are more expansive and more enjoyable. Some emotions are more constrictive and more painful. But if we can actually allow ourselves to feel, that brings us into the present moment. That can allow us to move through whatever's going on and really fully experience it. There's power in all of our emotions, not just the ones we think are good. So tell the truth, feel our feelings. I think a third thing that we can do is ask for help, support. I talk about this all the time. You've probably heard me talk about this if you follow my work at all, but like, how many of you like helping other people? Who likes helping other people? Most of us do, right? How many of you love asking other people for help? Most of us don't, right? It makes sense. It's vulnerable to ask for help. We might get judged. We might get rejected. We might burden people. These days, we don't want to burden anybody. I mean, people are already overburdened. But if we ask for help, a couple things will happen. First of all, we'll get some help. The answer is always no if we don't ask. Secondly, we model it. So whether it's within our family or our team or the people around us. Hey, Sanjay, nice to see you. Thanks for joining on Facebook. We model that behavior so it becomes okay. And if you're in a position of authority, of power, of leadership in any capacity, when you do that, it makes it safer for other people to do that. Even if you're not, even if you're at an entry level or everyone's at the same level, doing that just makes it more socially acceptable. But the third thing, the most important thing about asking for help is not only might we get some, we actually give other people the opportunity to do something that most people love to do, which is what? Help. And then the final thing that we can do, or not final, but the fourth of the four things I want to talk about. There's many other things we can do, right? So we tell the truth, like about what's really going on. We feel our feelings. We ask for help. And maybe that help could also be in the form of asking for help from not just our friends, our family, our coworkers, but professionals. Like, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to need support and therapy and medication. Just like if you break your ankle, you're not going to just suck it up and walk on a broken ankle. You're going to go to the hospital and have a doctor look at it and set it and get a cast and then go through the process of healing. If something's going on with us mentally, emotionally, it's not only okay, but it's necessary that we get some help, some support for it. I think the fourth thing that we can do is look for ways to engage with others and support others. Now, again, I'm not talking about being in denial of our own experience. I'm not talking about being so selfless that we end up just not paying attention to ourselves. We've all done that with good intention. It's like, I'm going to save the world, but I'm not actually going to take care of myself. That can be dangerous, problematic for a lot of reasons. So we got to, put our own oxygen mask on first, as the saying goes, which is true, but look for ways that we can engage with others and support others. One of the things that helps me get out of my own head and get out of some of my own negative spin cycle is to reach out to other people, offer my love and support to other people, check in with other people. We're all in this thing together, right? How are you doing? Anything I can do to support you? Cheerleading people, listening to people, acknowledging people, loving them up, whether they're coworkers, friends, family members. Again, people are going through a lot of stuff. And sometimes I just checked in with a friend of mine earlier today whose dad passed away about a month ago. And I asked her how she was doing. And she said, harder today than it was when it happened. And it was sudden. So it's a shock. And, having gone through some big losses and grief myself, I have some empathy. I mean, every situation is different, obviously. But she said, people aren't calling as much or they're not checking in as much. And it's not because they don't care, but it's like life moves on. And she said, when my mom passed away, I remember like month 1 through 4 or 5 were much harder than the first month. So we just talked about it openly and I appreciate it. But like being able to ask about her and check in with her was actually a benefit to me, somewhat selfishly. And I was trying to be a support for her just in listening and reflecting back. But a lot of times when we check in with each other, connect human to human, it reminds us that we are in it together. It reminds us that we have capacity to show up for other people, care for other people, love other people, support other people, even and especially if we're going through stuff that's difficult or challenging. So listen, hang in there. Whether you're watching this video live or right after I recorded it here in the, late July of 2022, or it's, many, many months or years later. Hopefully, if it's months or years later, like collectively things are a bit better than they are these days, but who knows? We're always kind of dealing with navigating in and out of the storms of life. And it's just part of the nature of being human. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. I appreciate being connected with you here on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, wherever you're watching this. But feel free to connect with me at our website, mike-robbins.com, or check out my podcast, which is We're All in This Together. But grateful to be connected with you. And who knows, maybe I'll come back on. I was doing weekly social lives and then I stopped doing it a couple, 3 months ago, but I'll probably start jumping on here from time to time again and maybe get back into more of a regular cadence come the fall. Take care.